Is this thing live? I think this is live. Hope we're live. I think we're live. What's happening, everybody? Everybody's having a fantastic, whatever day you're watching this. So quick, the usual business to get out of the way first. If y'all are watching this after it's been videoed live and you're getting bombarded with ads, X out of it. Give me about a day or two, hop back in it. I should have those ads figured out. YouTube does a thing with some of these live shows where it just blasts the thing full of ads, and I have to manually fix that. So that isn't me doing that. Just give me some time and I'll get that wrapped up so you can have your favorite background noise generator on before you know it. Number two, guys, for all of y'all that send the super thanks, I don't always get those notifications, but I want to say thank you very much to you guys that have done that. Means a ton to me, and I really do appreciate it. Also, couple of things. We've got discount codes. So if you've got one of these Challengers or Chargers, make sure you buzz over to Destroyer 1320's website, and discount code of Mason will get you 15% off one of those neutral switch block offs. And for Pike's Performance, just mention B Mason, and that will get you $50 off of tuning. So with that out of the way, I'll be mentioning that a couple of more times, but let's get into this. First, let me check in with the early bird. Sovereign Knight is in with the ball guy and the flex. I like it. John's asking, does getting a mid muffler increase horsepower, and will it sound louder, straight pipe or a mid muffler? Straight pipes, meaning no resonators, sounds horrible with an X pipe. Mid muffler does not necessarily increase or decrease power, provided that it's done the right way. Ardell's in saying, hey, B, what's up? What's up, Ardell? And Gears and Guns saying, sweet, got pipes on board. Yep. My good buddy, Alex. So y'all know I've been friends with Alex for years. He used to work for Alex. And so if you need tuning solutions, give those guys a shout. It's the only folks that I would trust with my own personal car. In fact, I do trust them with my own personal stuff. So if I trust them, you guys can trust them too. So there is, no better, no finer, endorsement there. Gears and Guns saying, Dr. Div. Yep. Mac Page saying, howdy, Mopar Professor. What's up, Mac? So guys, in talking to a lot of you guys, there's been quite a bit of, there's been quite a bit of questions come up lately about tuning. And tuning has been kind of a major deal, really, for a lot of you guys that are owning trucks. And so the latest update with Stormy is that, yep, the 355 gears are in. And, yep, she's a mid to high 13-second truck now in the heat. So that thing is a riot to drive. I'm going to still be working on that tune. I'd actually like to get the thing on the dyno here, hopefully within, I don't know, by the end of summer, maybe get the thing on the dyno. There's a couple of things I want to play with a little bit more with that tune, but right now she's running really well. Gears is saying, absolutely, Alex is the best, hands down. I would agree. John said, I'm trading my SXT for a wide body scat pack. Should I be worried with all the new major power that I'm not going to be used to? Listen, it's only about as spooky as your foot will allow it to get. So don't let your skill set write a check that, or don't let your lack of a skill set write a check that your ass can't cash. That's kind of, should come with the territory. Get used to the car. Make sure you're playing with it. Make sure you learn your platform. Rotest, what's up, my man? Say, B Mason, you're the man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the content. Enjoyed your quarter mile analysis of the 60s muscle car era. Man, I mean, I would like to do more on the 60s muscle car era. To be honest with you, brother, it feels like there's not enough honesty involved with a lot of the older cars. And the thing is that you don't have to legend create with these things. There's plenty of awesome just with what they were able to accomplish on their own. And it's a shame when folks start to get really tied to a single brand or a single power plant type. It's a headache, and it's just such a different driving experience as well. So you can't it's real difficult to compare older cars with newer cars. Yeah, I've got Sierra, which is a 72 GMC, 400 small block, doesn't even have camel hump heads, performer intake, small carb, the whole bit, non-existent cam. But the thing is a lot of fun to drive, and it will rip a set of tires completely to shreds. There's a lack of translation when you try to explain what okay, a 428 powered Mustang runs like versus a 5.0. It's the ET does not tell the story of the driving experience, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, but yeah, I'd like to actually get more into that. Summer saying, welcome, folks. Guns Gears, the 355 is perfect with the 8-speed. Dude, 355 is a ripper with the DT. With the more aggressive transmission gears, I love it. No Average is saying, what up, everyone? Hey, B, I lost 4/10 with 6.4 intake manifold with my 5.7. Do you mean you picked up 4/10 or it got quicker 4/10 or that it hemorrhaged 4/10 and it's 4/10 slower? Please elaborate. Ardell saying, hello, Sovereign Knight. Summer's checking in with Ardell. See, Tad saying, why does my 2017 Ram 5.7 seem faster than my 2021? So, Tad, this is the funny thing. I was just talking to Alex about this tonight. My 2017 Ram feels faster than my 2022. I cannot answer that. I am on the hunt to try to figure out. One thing I can tell you is that at wide open throttle, my DT Ram has less knock retard, more timing. Fueling is more consistent with my tune. This is all with my tune, by the way. All of that. And so you're talking about a bone stock 2017 versus a tuned 2022 with a set of gears. And there are partial throttle situations where the DS Ram just feels faster. And I was asking Alex about that. We don't really, when it comes to the stock stuff, you don't really start climbing into cam phasing and playing around with any of that. We found that there really never has been a lot of a gain. In fact, we've lost power and lost ET by trying to play with that. However, with the DT versus DS Ram, I'm convinced it has something to do with the cam timing. I just, in looking at it, it's hard to say. But I can tell you this, the big issue that I've had, one truck versus the next, is whenever I've data logged the DS Ram data looks horrible by comparison. And yet it still seems to feel quicker, even though on the draggy or at the drag strip, it's consistently slower than my DT Ram. I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think it has something to do with cam phasing. I just have to get in there and play with it. Let's see. Oh, hang on a second. Time out. Let me get back over here. Sovereign saying stream quality is looking much better since the last one. That's because we've got a new webcam. So thank you all very much for that. So yeah, we got a new webcam and a little bit of a new setup because the old setup was absolute junk. So we are rocking with one of these. What is this thing? I don't know. It's about $100 and it seems to work pretty good. Webcam thing. So thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. But hey, Tad, I will let you know when I find out. Again, I would like to get my truck on the dyno. And what I'll probably do, I need to verify that the camshafts are the same camshaft. Just because you can have the same cam lobe profile, but if it's installed at a different lobe center. Anyway, long story short, there's a couple of things I need to verify between the 2017, the classics, and the newer trucks. I don't think there's anything different there, though. And I'm just going to swap cam phasing data and just see if it wakes it up. There is one interesting thing, Tad. I will say this: the the cam phasing in the DS Ram, so your 2017, is kind of a little bit more intuitive. When the short runner valve opens, the cam is retarding, and when the short runner valve opens, it slams it advanced by about 6 degrees, and then it starts yanking it back a little bit. But that's at 4,700 RPM. I don't think that's what you're missing out on. I don't think that's what you're looking at, because it retard, advance, retard. I mean, it's like that fast. Where the DT Ram, this is just one of the small things that I'm looking at. The DT Ram is constantly retarding the cam as the engine speeds up, as you would expect, and it doesn't take any of the short runner valve into account at all. Lots of weird stuff in there. Okay, and to that point, there are places wide open throttle where the DS Ram cam seems to be more retarded than the DT, which is the DT's being a bit more advanced. You would think it'd be the exact opposite, right? But with how they run anyway. Anyway, I got a lot more deep diving to get into that. Road test, I agree 100%. Yeah, we're talking about just, you can't, it's so hard to translate old school muscle to new school. You know, if you could take a ZF 8-speed and bolt it to the back of a, 428 powered Mustang or a 440 powered Mopar, you want to talk about it completely change your idea of those old cars. Potentially, I should say. Guns and Gears, open chat tonight. Let's talk about the new Z06, like the one about to put a new engine in at 210 miles. Ordered the engine today. Main bearing failure. Think GM is in too deep. One of the issues, this is one of the primary issues that folks have been worried about with these flat plane crank engines, especially when you get over 5 liters with them. The secondary harmonics become more and more of a problem. And if you guys remember, not to get off the topic of the Z06, but the GT500 went with a cross plane crank because it kept shearing the balancers off the front of the cars because the secondary harmonics did it had a positive displacement supercharger hanging on the top of it. So the different loading basically was creating all kinds of issues. Harmonics took over and snap, they went. So anyway, just as an observation, but man, I would like to say that I'm surprised, but unfortunately I'm really not. But do I think GM's in too deep? I'll put it to you like this, man. GM is going to start finding people are going to start finding the weak link in Z06 real quickly. And what's his face that's got one had issues with the carbon wheels, where now he has to take his Corvette to a Lamborghini dealership to get tires put on his car. So if you're tracking your Z06 and you got carbon wheels, get used to taking it to a Lamborghini or an Audi dealership where they can actually mount and dismount on carbon fiber wheels without destroying the wheel itself. It's something that Chevrolet did not quite take into account, it looks like. Who is trying to get a hold of me right now? Hey, Justin, send me, oh, damn. So he's sending me the pics of that. Oh, shit. Are you serious? That thing is torn up, bro. Oh. The thing milkshaked it that bad, huh? Gross. That'll leave a mark. Yeesh. So yeah, the flat plane thing, itty bitty motors, yay. Big engines, secondary harmonics will rip your head off with those things. John's asking, do you think if the Challengers were continued to 2025, they would have made other Hellcats and Scats only rear wide body? They might. Just like the new Demon, they probably would, be honest with you. They'd probably waterfall that. Talisman saying, what do you think of 392 gears in a 5.7 Hemi? They are generally the preferred gear. If you have a classic, that would be the only gear I would want in that truck. If you have a DT, which has more aggressive gearing, in first, second, third, and fourth and fifth gears, and sixth gears the same. It's 1-to-1. Then 355s are real good. You could go 355s with the DS, but if you're ordering any of the trucks, the 392s are good. The thing is about the 392, if you're running, and this has to do more with tire size. If you're going to plan on putting bigger tires on it, get the 392s. The factory 20s and the tire size that comes on the 20s with the classics makes the 390, it numbs the 392s a little bit. So that, along with the different gear ratios in the transmission, that's why you want to go 392. I can tell you though, if you go 392 with a DT, it makes highway, like if you do a lot of highway driving, it'll make the truck a little bit buzzy if you're keeping the stock size wheels and tires on there, which are kind of big anyway, but just it'll make it a little bit buzzy on the highway. The second thing is that you lose, there's like a highway hit that you just don't have, that you have with the 321, and you think you've got it good until you put 355s in that thing, where it will absolutely rip on the highway. So 355s, better out of the hole, better mile an hour at the end of the quarter, and it will rip on the highway. Gears and Guns saying, talking about no abs, saying 4/10 with an intake sounds like either tuning or vacuum leak, which it probably is. Because it looks like probably went slower. Oh, sorry, we're saying, yeah, if anybody's viewing this stream on a mobile device, please take a moment to back out of the chat and then click that like button. Yes, like, subscribe. If it's your first time in, please consider subscribing. It helps me a ton. And then watch this stuff when it comes up. I know it's weird. I know it's hard. I ring the bell. I don't ever get notification with people that I'm subscribed to and bell rung to. You know, it's just kind of weird how it works like that. But stay tuned. Tuesdays and Fridays at about this time. Gears Gun saying, oh, talking about he liked the 410, but he had boost, a lot of boost. The 355 puts it in the sweet spot for an NA app. Yep. Especially if you're just going to use it as a truck and you want something that's going to be snappy and peppy, but also has good legs on the highway, 55s are real good. Palsman said, to add to my question earlier, 5.7 in a Ram 2015. Yep. Yeah, for your truck, man, go with 392s just because the gear ratios and the tire size if you got the 20s. Someone saying, yep, much cleaner picture. Good. How does this sound? Is the sound better? Hopefully the sound's better too. I know before the sound was okay, but the picture was just bad. It just was not good at all. Max asking, do you think it has something to do with some underlying unseen emissions mumbo jumbo, the differences between DS and DT Ram? Man, I'll put it to you like this. I've removed some of that with my truck, and there's nothing in the data that would suggest, even with the stock tune. Let me say, I don't ever remove anything emissions wise. There's just some component protection that I don't really worry too much about. But I can tell you this, the DS Ram that I have will go into cat overtemp protect pretty quickly to the tune of 9.5 to 1 AFR. But you'd never know it. The truck just runs really, really well. The other thing is that my DS has horrible short-term knock retard. It is pulling timing like you would never believe. And yet it still runs really well. I'm telling you guys, I don't get it. I cannot put my finger on it again, unless it has something to do with cam phasing. That's the only thing I can think of. But the thing is, it's not like there's a whole lot of difference between one cam phase and the next. I mean, you can kind of look at it. There's a couple of spots where it's about 4 degrees, which is significant. One being more retarded, one being more advanced, but they're, aside from just a couple of areas, they're usually within a couple of degrees of each other. And it's just, they have different lock pins, but that's about it, man. Like I say, I cannot slide into the logic of that. I'm trying. I really am. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I've been trying to find. And the funny thing about it, if you were to look at the data, in fact, I used to have them both in my toolbar down here because I was just going back and forth. I'm going to log cam timing and see if I can get maybe a better idea there. It's not wide open throttle that I'm so worried about. It's under partial throttle. That's where the big difference is. And if I don't get anything if I can't find anything that's more or less revealing, there may be a modifier for driver demand under the torque management tab. That is, but even then, I've got my throttle clips are all adjusted, more aggressive. There could be some subroutine that I just don't see. But even if I look at the data, the throttle pedal and throttle body I've got them basically walking right next to each other. So has nothing to do. It's not clipping my throttle. It's not clipping the throttle body. It's not doing, I don't know, man. This is one of those situations. Okay. So guys, this is one of those situations where the data, the car, in this case, truck, just does not run the way that the data would suggest. If I were to look at the data, my DS, I'd say the thing's blown up, but it just hauls ass. And so I just can't figure it out, man. Here's the thing. I would love to tune my DS. It's a company truck. I can't, but I would love to unlock that computer and just go through that thing. And I feel like that truck would be really fast with it, or just a whole lot better, nothing else, maybe with a tune. Who knows? Probably go slower with my luck. Sovereign saying the video is a lot better. Gears is asking AbRT who tuned it. Sovereign saying your live is now streaming in 1080p. It is, yes. Gears asking, is my truck an E-Force? Yes, it is. The E-Torque, which is another thing. I don't have access to any of that in my tune. Ardell saying much better video and sound. Awesome. As I'm shaking it over here with this thing. Okay, let's not do that. Complex is in saying, good morning, B. Good morning, Complex. No average RT, 4/10 slower and lost mile per hour. I did a smoke test, no leaks. I don't know what it is. Someone saying, yeah, that's definitely a huge step up. The old camera was broadcasting at 720p, and that's being polite to say that thing was 720. Road test, say, have to agree, have a stock 65.5 R code 428 Cobra Jet coupe. By the way, check out, guys, go after the show, go check out Road Test TV's channel. Look at the R code coupe that he's got, which it's a freaking unicorn car that he's got. It is absolutely gorgeous. And is one of my all-time favorite cars that nobody's ever heard of. And it's hard to explain why it's so badass until you realize it's an R code 428 coupe, which doesn't exist. Like, nobody bought that car. So when you get a chance, go check that car out. It's an awesome piece of muscle car history, but it's a 1360 car. And by the way, that's a fast ass car for 1968. People don't realize. Okay, so let me put something into perspective, guys. Okay, so Road Test TV's coupe, that the CJ coupe, is a 1360 car. To put that in perspective, that car is faster than 95% of every other muscle car, even that one. Yes, that one you're thinking of. It's faster than that car. Unless it had GNX, or maybe even some of the super track packs, that R code coupe would be faster than most of, except for just a handful of very well-spec'd Hemi cars. And about the only thing that would really run out of that car's life are actual race cars that were homologated for the street. L88, L78 probably would be not in that conversation. That's how fast that car is. So a 1360 it's a extremely quick car. And it's a driving experience that you would never know unless you've had that opportunity. So after the show, check out Road Test TV's channel. You'll love that car. You'll get an understanding of why it's one of my all-time favorite. You're saying, I wish you could put a ZF behind any engine. I'm surprised they don't have controllers out that you can do that. John's asking, is the C8 Z06 already considered a supercar if it's still a sports car? It looks like a supercar to me. It is going to turn into a super pain in the ass, I think, for a lot of guys. And is it a supercar? Yeah. I mean, go ahead and call it a supercar if you will. I would say that, yeah, the problem with the Z06, the problem with the Z06 is that it's not a Lambo. And no matter how badass it looks or runs, it doesn't pass the strip club test. And that's the issue that I have with the Z06 or with the C8 Corvette just in general. Unless it has been very well massaged and it looks really, really looks the part, it looks like you're trying to get away with something. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Oh, Ardell saying, thank you. Much better. Yeah. With the sound and the video quality. Glad that we finally got that resolved. That was driving me nuts. You're saying, fortunately, I work for a dealer that can service the carbon wheels. It wasn't cheap for them. Ma'am, I can imagine that it wasn't. Oh, Sovereign saying he can see the finer details on Revlon. Very good. Yes. Yep, the distinct lack of air underneath those front tires. So I'll put it to you like there's like an inch or half an inch of contact patch underneath those tires. Oh, Tad was saying he was holding out hope for a factory wide body 392 Charger Daytona, but was severely let down. Yeah. Oh, no average saying gears and guns. A very good tuner. He's talking to I was running low 12s. Yeah, I've seen that tune, bro. Itch is in. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, Gear said, I'd love to play with that Hurricane engine that Dodge is doing. Yeah, that's one of the things that Alex and I were talking about. Was trying to find if I could find a roached out Gen 3 Viper, I would do the swap. But I don't know. We'll see. The problem is that people think that cars like that are worth way, way, way more money than they really are. And if I could have picked up a GTS for 30, which is really overpriced for my taste for that car, but if I could have picked up even a Gen 2, this is what we were talking about. I wouldn't want to do a Gen 2. They're a nightmare. The hood, if you look at it the wrong way, if it cracks, that's a problem. I'd much rather have the much better suspension geometry of a 3 or a 4 than a 2 any day of the week. Oh, Sovereign's liking the Hurricane. Yeah, that Hurricane. There's some room to play with that. Gears saying what that lower end will handle under boost. Well, there comes from the factory with 26 pounds of boost for the 500 horse, 22, I think, for the 400. What we were talking about was between 45 and 60 pounds of boost on corn. Oh, Tad saying my 21 Warlock has 392 gears. Your 17 probably has 21s. If it's like most of the other road going trucks. But yeah, your Warlock does have 392s. One of the things that I thought about too was, wheel and tire combinations. My 2017 is a tradesman. And even though my tradesman is technically, well, no, there's not a technically about it. It is 100 pounds heavier than my DT. I don't know, bro. Don't get me to lie. And everything about the DT is screaming that it's making more power. I think I am going to go ahead and put the different intake system on it. B&S, what is it? Being it would be on my truck here pretty soon, whatever it is. That's the one I'm going to go with. And if it makes a difference, it makes a difference. But the funny thing about it is in data acquisition, why did I say it like that? In data acquisition, what the fuck am I? When I'm collecting data and I'm looking at one data set versus another, in data acquisition, the DS RAM is significantly crappier, actually, than the DT, which I thought it was going to be the other way around. That's the thing. With these RAMs, everything, it's like I know something, and then I find out that what I know ain't really what I know. So I was saying, Gears got Bean's trying to find an old Viper to make a project car, the Hurricane 6. Yep. It's tough, man. I can't find. It's what I was talking to Alex about. I said, look, if you know anybody that's got a 3 or a 4 that is just absolutely roached, let me know. You know, I mean, there's guys that there were guys that would race them, and then they would basically gut the powertrain, or if it had a fried powertrain or something like that, they just let the thing go for like pennies on the dollar. Because they were just roached out race cars. I mean, you'd have to go in, every bushing had to be replaced, shocks were shot. And that's the funny thing, you know, especially when you're talking about circuit track cars. I mean, you get your hands on one of those things and it's held together with hind joints and prayers. I mean, that's just the way it is. Complex saying, so good gear for a 5.7 with a NAG 1, 392. Go with the 392 for the Nagy trucks and the 5.65s. Owen's asking, is there any reason I should not pull the fuse or the fuel pump as a theft deterrent? You're talking about the fuel pump relay. No, pull it. Believe me, there's no problem. I mean, I would pull that relay in a heartbeat. It's real easy to get to in the trunk. You're saying that would be one weird Supra, Sovereign. Yeah. But that's what I would be making. I mean, it'd be a Dodge version of a old school Supra. Oh, Ryan got him a Fiat 500. Nice. Going to convert it to a Barth with a turbo and moderate Fiat build. Be like to get. Hey, listen, they're a lot of fun, man. The thing is like Fiat 500s are a riot. They're a lot like the original Cooper S's, which were a terrorist on an autocross track. They're a lot of fun. Somers checking in with Jeremy. Good evening. Good evening, Jeremy. You're saying my pockets aren't that deep. Man, listen, like I say, back in the day, you could find roached out Vipers for next to nothing, man. Guys were just trying to get rid of them. Marco is in. It found the boost leaks. Really? Oh, Sovereign's got road tests link up there. Yeah, go check that out, guys. Awesome car. I love that car. And again, it's a freaking unicorn for sure. Let's see. So I'm saying Demonology said he put his order in for a 170, opted out of the carbon. Yeah, I would never get carbon wheels. No, thank you. Thank you. Rote is saying, Cyber, we should lobby Dodge for B Mason, get a Demon 170. If anybody should have the car lay down the times, it'd be me. I tell you what, man, I appreciate the kind words. I had put out an APB to all of my record holders, record setters. So that would be, I mean, not for nothing but me, but it'd be, if I'm in there, then Jim Mopar has to be in there, because if it's not me that owns the national record, it's going to be him. So for a stock car, both of us own national records, and I'm happy to share it. But myself and Jim Mopar, you would have Fast Super Stock, who's the national record holder for Super Stock. You would have, Demonology, Racer X, who have both, raced a lot of Dodge. Destroyer 1320, because he does so much for the community. And then Scavenger 1320, because if anybody could get a number out of that car, Scavenger would have that thing in about a jillion pieces and would probably be running sevens with the thing if he could get it down weight enough. But there's guys that I think that, like I say, that hold national records right now that didn't even get a phone call. That's the thing that pisses me off. You've got guys that have been flying the flag for a long time, and those same guys didn't even get a sniff at what the next iteration or the last iteration was going to be. So for all of us that have been really flying the flag high, not that I'm, listen, I'm super happy with this little girl right here. And remember, she is sequence 416-0240, born in November of 2014. And there's only a first one once. That's that girl right there. So we can talk about the set 170 all we like, but the original car is still the one that I love the most. And I would not get rid of her to get a 170. So, but yeah, but that being said, believe me, I want to get a number out of a 170. Gary Zan say 2017 Ram 1500. I've got 3 different answers on changing my full synthetic oil, 7,000, 9,000, and 10,000 mile change. Under no circumstances should you ever go over 7,000. Ever. Ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever. I changed mine at 6, which is the exact same interval that I use for any daily driven contraption. And remember that my work truck, is one of about 26 that are in the fleet. And all of those trucks change their oil between 5 and 7. And all of those trucks have anywhere, I think mine might be one of the lowest, but it's not the lowest, at 100 and roughly 80,000 miles. And it runs like a freaking champ. The last one that we got rid of was 310 or 320,000 miles on that one. But yeah, I am under no at 6,000 miles, the miles that you're putting on that truck after 6,000 miles are to go buy oil and to go get it changed. Sovereign saying the order window's closed recently. Yeah. Sovereign saying he got Demonology got his at the last second. Oh, David saying the 545 loves the 456 over the 392, especially if you have bigger tires. Then in that case, you're going to want a set of 456s back there. John's asking, if I was offered $100 to be in the new Fast and Furious movie, would you do it? Sure. Jeremy saying, B, found some Novas and Elcos in North Texas, need work, 4K. Oh, man. I will have to extend my search up there. So, there's one Nova that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on, but I can't get the guy to sent him a message. He immediately fired back with a response, and I asked him another set of questions, and I never heard back from the dude. So, I don't know. But yeah, I'll extend up there. Were you on Craigslist or Marketplace, Jeremy? Teleman's asking, how much horsepower and torque can a stock 2016 Ram 1500 drive shaft take? Eventually want to go nitrous or supercharger. Really, it has more. It's not really horsepower. It has more to do with RPM. It looks like with those drive shafts. Actually, Gears can answer that probably better than I can. I've seen guys out there with boost on stock drive shafts. I didn't have any issues. A lot of it depends on what you're doing with it, though. If you've got big tires, you see, that's the thing. I haven't heard of anybody snapping one with bigger tires. I have heard of guys have issues with them due to RPM, but some of those were in trucks that were really lowered quite a bit too. So I don't know. There's some inconsistency with that. So I would say don't worry about the power so much as the RPM. I think is going to be the thing that stings you there. Jeremy says dad had a 16 RT Ram. RT Rams are sweet little trucks. RT 392. I picked up a Ram 1500 Bighorn with e-torque. I love this truck. Really good power. What can I do to add a little bit more power? Well, I'll tell you what I did with mine. I mean, obviously I do all my own tuning, so it's got one of my tunes on it. Which I don't know if it's a whole lot of power. My truck is running mid to highish mid 13s in good air right now with the stock Wranglers, no less. Best mile an hour is over 102. But there's that. So tuning you're not really picking up power. You're just removing some nannies with that truck, which is like, there's a lot of them in those trucks. That's really it. I'm going to be testing the BN whatever intake system on mine. I'll let you know what the data looks like. It's kind of getting into the hot part of the year, so trying to get numbers out of the truck is going to be kind of pointless, but I am going to check data on it, and I can tell you if it's working or not. Or if it's that big of a deal. I'll put it to you like this. The problem with the intake system, and this is running both filters, by the way, in the DT, there's just not a huge pressure drop between ambient barometric pressure and actual plenum barometric pressure at wide open throttle. There's just not a huge difference. Even with that goofy looking, like real like that intake, it just doesn't seem to really matter. And a lot of that has to do with how the intake manifold is shaped itself, because like from your point of view, viewed from the side, the D, I'll just say that it makes an S. It does that, which doesn't help. But the thing is, the intake manifold is making an S, like it's the other half of the S. So if there is any restriction there, it's only in the air changing directions, but there's kind of a big hole there. And I know when I ported truck intakes, I did put a little bit of work into that area to get them to flow right. But the data would show that, number one, I've got a really good intake manifold on my truck. And number two, and probably more to the point, the inlet tract is just really good. But that's really it. That's all I can really say. Jeremy's saying 68 years old and still was getting tickets. 68 nowadays is young, brother. That means you can just afford to buy more tires. Sovereign saying I was able to drive a Fiat 500 all electric for a little bit as a company car. It was zippy. They are zippy. They're fun to drive. Orange with the racing stripes. Nice. Kept bumping into the sunroof. That's funny. Not a lot of room for a 6'1" dude. I get it. Skids is saying, hey, buddy, I'm curious about the 5.0 F-150. I've seen some guys racing them supercharged four-wheel drive and slicks on all four corners, roasting guys. Yeah, they do. Which gear ratio are they running, do you think? I think those are all 373 or 355 trucks. I would be willing to bet, though, that some of the higher horsepower, higher winding guys are all 373s. And I can tell you this, they do not have drive shaft issues, number one. And number two, if I were to build something that I just wanted to go out and rip the freaking hearts out of folks on the street, it would be it'd be a short bed F-150 four-wheel drive drop. Buddy of mine's got one. And dude, I'm telling you, even low boost, those things are freakishly fast. Callis is saying, I'm on vacation in the Philippines. I haven't seen a single paper straw here. I did see a wide body Challenger, though. Very nice. Ryan saying, well, I'm 5'5", so good fit. Nice. Summer saying 7K is not okay. No. Talking about it's talking that 7K is referring to miles between oil changes. Ryan saying, yeah, I plan to track, but no outside of Barth parts to make it a little Fiat sleeper. Oh, David saying, even with AMSOIL and a Wix filter, I go no more than 5K. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of that has to do with how you drive the vehicle. And this is the problem that oil manufacturers and even vehicle manufacturers don't really pick up on. And that is the fact that for every minute that thing is idling, I want you to think about this. For every minute that truck is idling, you're not putting miles on the truck, but it's equivalent to the thing going 30 or 40 miles an hour. And it's worse because there's no airflow around the engine. There's a strong vacuum, but not very much flow for crankcase evacuation. There's a lot of things going on. There's low oil pressure, potentially. Oil temperatures remain really hot, but your pump's not running very fast. There's all kinds of things that can cause oil to break down that has nothing to do with mileage. So that's why I always say, look, man, I don't care if it's all highway miles, it's all city miles, it's just sitting there doing nothing. 7,000 miles is the number that you would not want to go after. Or go further than, I should say. Oh, Jeremy's saying those were found on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to have to check those out. John's asking, someone said, Ryan, sweet. Yeah, this would be a fun car. John's asking, are all Vipers manual? Yes. That's one of the reasons why they didn't sell worth a crap. Saying if they are, maybe that's the reason why they can't beat Corvettes. They were always manual, and the later cars had horrible gearing in first gear, which the manual Hellcats do too. They share the same gearing, same transmission. TR6060, it's a higher torque variant than what you find in the Scats. So hang on, make sure my truck's locked. But yeah, the fact that they were never automatic is one of the things that just was destroying the sales of that car. So I'm saying, hit that like, subscribe. Yes, please do. Also, guys, don't forget, if you have one of these Challengers or Chargers, run over to Destroyer 1320's website, mention the discount code Mason, gets you 15% off of your neutral cutoff or neutral safety switch cover, which is a theft deterrent device. And for any of your tuning needs, mention B Mason at Peitz Performance. That's Peitz Performance. Get you $50 off of tuning. John's asking, would you consider an SXT Challenger at least a sports car? No, it doesn't. It's that's a commuter. It's got good power, but it's a 6-cylinder, and you can't really, a naturally aspirated 6, you're not going to really consider that a sports car in a car like that. Hemi Dad's asking, are Challenger shakers anything more than an appearance package? They sure scratch the old school Hemi itch. Actually, the shaker induction system is not bad at all. It does introduce cold air into the system. So yeah, they are actually a good thing. David saying, I think the guys have trouble with the 8-speed trans shafts in Rams. Mine being 11, never a problem. Dylan Derby ran stock shaft in his Ram, also hitting 125 in the quarter. Yeah, a lot of the 8-speed guys ran into issues with that. And again, I don't know if it was if there was an imbalance, something maybe was an inherent imbalance or something, but I do know that some guys were running into issues with that. Zephyr R&D's in. What's up, man? Got the fist bump. In a Wrangler, what are your thoughts on the small turbo motors that seem to be the main offering going forward? Nonetheless, all the competitors in the field. Well, I don't really have a problem in the Wrangler. The problem that I have with the Wrangler is that they never offered a 5.7. I mean, I don't understand how you're going to have something like that and not offer a V8. I don't like the 6-cylinder. Now, I like the Hurricane 2.0, so I don't really have a problem with them. I just would like to see maybe something a little bit more aggressive in that thing. Oh, hey, how you doing? There we go. Jeremy saying, I shared a video on Challenger Forum. Naples Dodge had a shaker that was a 5.7, but the shaker said 392. But in the video, the block looked orange. I don't know. They might have thought it was a 5. I don't know. But orange block's a 392. I was ever saying, I'm curious about the 4-low use for days on end and forced induction motor lasting for 200,000 plus. Man, there's a lot of forced induction cars and trucks that last a long, long, long time. But again, it depends on how it's maintained. That's the most important thing. My thing is that I don't like the 3.6. I don't like that engine at all. Love me some 3.8. My wife's Jeep has the 3.8, and it might be because of gearing, but that 3.8 is way torquier than the 3.6. I mean, you've got to just run the hell out of that 3.6 to get any power out of it. And my wife's Jeep, it's just you roll into the throttle, and it's kind of like having a TBI car. All the power is, the first half of the pedal throw. It makes it nice. And it doesn't really lack for power. I mean, the thing does kind of get out of its own way. I like driving it. Let's see. Skids is saying there was a couple of guys in 5.0 4-wheel drive lowered short bed regular cabs that were out trolling Hellcats. Oh yeah. Yeah, I would say that's one of the nastiest combos out there. 5.0 SPRC, which is a short bed regular cab. Pick your boost. It doesn't matter what you throw at it. Any of those trucks are going to be hell to deal with on the street because they just dead hook. And so, I mean, you can give the Hellcat the hit and a car length, and it will not matter if you've got one of those trucks. Just don't worry about it. The Hellcat's going to get, even if the Hellcat is on a tire, it's going to have a hell of a hard time dealing with one of those trucks. And the sick thing about it is the truck will mile an hour on the back half too. Ken, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Ken in with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Didn't have a question, but I will hopefully, if you did, I'll sneak up on it as I'm going down here. But thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. Oh, David saying I use 5W30 in his Ram at 185. Very nice. Skid's saying lowered F-150. Yeah, 5.0 Whipple. Yep. Oh, yeah. Sovereign's got Destroyer 1320s website. Check them out, guys. Get your strap. The thing about here's the thing with the F-150s. The problem is the transmission will only last for so long. It's like every time you get on it, it's is it going to blow up? But as long as that transmission holds together, it is one of the hardest trucks to deal with. And from a roll, just don't. But it's a pickup. I mean, it's a Lightning. And by the way, so I was doing some like spring cleaning, if you will. I had a old filing cabinet that had a bunch of just miscellaneous crap in it from years and years ago. And I was finding, I had the owner's manual for my 94 Cobra, which still had the warranty, I guess you'd call it a card or whatever. Anyway, with the VIN on it, and found some paperwork for my 03 Lightning, and like, man, I wouldn't mind having one of those again. Anyway, nothing really cool. It was just a bunch of papers, but Sorry, get your anti-theft device there. Absolutely. Him and Dad saying a 5.7 and a Wrangler for a decent price would be great. It would be the right thing to do. I mean, that thing is a tank. I just cannot believe for the life of me they never put a 5.7 in that thing. Oh, Ken saying, I'm entering my first no prep event at the drag strip with my red eye. I have the 17-inch ET Street Rs. Do you recommend ballast in the trunk? And if so, how much? What size tire are you going to be running? And you've already got your batteries in the trunk. Ballast, I would say you would probably want an extra 25 to 50 pounds over each tire, or just position it in the trunk. But no prep is kind of funny because a lot of times there's a lot of rubber on a no prep track, and it depends on the tire that you're running. It won't hurt you to have an extra 50 pounds back there, though. But remember that you've got kind of a heavier car anyway. So, and really to make any marketable difference, you need to have about 100 pounds in terms of ET before it even starts to affect what the car ends up running. I'll give you an example. Orange Crush's car is 130, depending on my setup, either 130 or 145 pounds heavier than my car. And it is exactly 1/10 of a second slower with the exact same tune, with practically the exact same wheel and tire setup. So, but if you're in a no prep situation, really it's going to depend on if you can launch the thing in first gear or if you need to launch it in second gear. I know a lot of the guys in no prep will just come over. It takes a little bit of practice if you're not used to it, but do your burnout, come over, put the car in second and manual, stall up like you normally would, 1,500 RPM, launch the car. And when you launch the car, pop the shifter over so that you're in automatic. Don't leave it in manual. It won't shift. Well, it'll eventually shift, but it'll be way too high. But it's going to depend on what the track will take. And again, a lot of times no prep, there's still a lot of rubber on the track. Some cars will hook, and depending on what size, I got to know what size tire you're running too. If you're running, I'll put it like this. If you're running like the 315, 45, 17, I would say you're probably going to be good. Just make sure you get a good burnout in and roll into the throttle, but you're going to need to check. Even then though, you might have to launch in second. If you're running the 305, 45, I'd say put about 50 or 80 pounds in the trunk, and you might still have to launch in second. So it just depends on what the track will hold. Oh, Skids is saying about the Wrangler, I couldn't agree more. I had the 5.7 around for 20-ish years and couldn't get it into a Jeep Wrangler. Exactly, which is blowing my mind. Took them how many years to get a 392, and they're 70 to 80 grand? Dude, I would love to find one for 70 grand. The last one I was looking at was 92. Memory serves me correctly. And here's the thing about the 5.7 down here, and I cannot remember the name of the company to save my life, but there was a company down here and we were doing the tuning. It was Texas something. No. Anyway, and that's what they did. They did V8 swaps in Jeeps. Obviously, LSs were a big deal. LSs with magnets and superchargers were a big deal. A lot of 5.7 swaps, some 392 swaps, Hellcat swaps, a couple of those in the Jeeps. I mean, the engine fits right in there. Like, it just fits. It works. There's not a lot you got to worry about. So anyway, quite a few swap guys running around, but it's just the fact they never put that engine into that Jeep. It's I don't know. It's an affront to just good logic. Again, Ken, thank you very much. Himmy Dad's checking out with Sovereign, making sure he's doing good. had his ablation surgery, so still on the mend from that. John saying on the C8 Z06 thing I mentioned, did you just mean that they are just a wannabe Ferrari, a Lambo? Like saying a fake Lamborghini or Ferrari. The problem is with the Z06 or with any of the newer C8 Corvettes, that's how they're going to be perceived at first. Remember, they're the new kid. They just showed up to this place, right? And until they earn a spot, if you will, they're going to be kind of looked at like that. Now, the new C8, it is going to have more racing pedigree, and that does add some panache to the car. But yeah, I mean, you start showing up and you're looking like a Ferrari or you're looking like a Lambo, but you got a Chevrolet nameplate on you, and well, some of the build quality to go along with it, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to, get that pop, get that shine, if you will. Tad's asking if I've ever driven one of the Yamaha V6 SHOs. Yes, and they were a lot of fun. I had a 95 that was mildly modified and would break hearts at stoplights. Yep. The V6 SHOs, the original ones, were spooky because from a roll, they would walk away from the 5.0s and be like, what just happened? Zephyr is asking if I'd ever seen Robbie at Motex Wranglers LT and 10 8-speed swaps. I haven't, but I bet they're awesome. Any of those are great. I mean, to me, it seems like a 4.8 or a 5.3 into any of these Jeeps would be like a no-brainer. But unfortunately, Dodge Ram Jeep doesn't offer a V8 in that platform, or they do. It's a 392. It's just dumb that they don't offer the 5.7. Oh, Sovereign saying, yep, B Mason usually goes live on Tuesdays and Saturdays, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Come on in, hang out. Usually Tuesdays and Saturdays. Oh, Zephyr saying the diesel was a heartbreaker in the Wrangler. It could have been great. Yes, it could have been. David saying nothing like boost. I do miss my Cyclone. Got a friend with an F-150 5.0 with a whip, 1040 at $130. Been through 3 transmissions though, dude. I'm telling you, man. So check this out, guys. So every one of these cars, trucks, whatever, they all have weak links. None of these vehicles are designed or meant to be handled the way that they are, except for the Hellcat variants. And this is where the funny thing comes into play for me. Mustangs can make them wicked fast, but they always frag transmissions. Same goes for the F-150 trucks. Make them crazy fast, but stuff breaks. And, the Camaro thing, it's like, well, we're kind of over that part of it anyway. But the issue with the Camaro is that, it's direct injection. They've got issues carboning up valves. And, I know that there's been changes and all that, but you get where I'm going with that. Camaros you can make scream, but you end up basically just gutting the thing to do it. And is it even a street car at that point? The Hellcat, yeah, it's a tank. Of course it is. It's based off of a large Mercedes-Benz sedan. What'd you think it was going to be? Like a lightweight? But it's got some heavy duty parts on it. So it might not be the fastest, but it's always going to be considered fast. And they just don't seem to break the way that other brands do. Let's see. Oh, Jeremy's saying 392 Wrangler is just a money grab. It's a one platform they didn't put a Hellcat in. Hemi Dad, thank you very much. Saying thank you for the chat. Be always happy to see live chat on Tuesday night. Here's a tenner. I love it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate that a ton, my friend. Oh, Hemi Dad's hanging out with Sovereign. Yeah, his dad had the AFib, got the ablation. Yeah, and when it hits, it'll freak you out. And if you guys ever have that happen to you, you know, you're sitting there, your heart's going like for no reason, get it fixed. It ain't going to go away on its own. And typically it doesn't anyway. And it's not, if you have that and it happens more than a few times, get that checked out. Aside from other health issues that you may have, that's one of them. And that'll turn your lights out quicker than you know. So get that checked out, fellas. Just like you would if your car had something weird going on with it. You got to take care of your body, take care of yourself the same way. Simon saying, anybody who is wanting to know about the Black Ghost fate, Ryan Snyder, a collector from Braden in Florida, picked it up. Said that one of the reasons he bought it was to continue sharing it with fans and shows rather than seeing it hidden away in a collection. Very cool. Very cool. And it's in good hands. Yeah, the thing is with the Black Ghost, you know, it's a really cool car on its own. And that's all there is to that car. It's a really cool, neat car. And Sovereign saying, yeah, AFib itself isn't fatal, but the complications of it, namely strokes. Yeah, don't want to run into that. Well, it depends on. Yeah, it can be bad. But again, thank you, Himmy Dad. I appreciate it. Yeah, Snyder's going to give it a deep cleaning, and that's awesome. Gregor and his family can come see it anytime they want. Punchline's asking if the Magnums still get any love. When they do, I mean, Magnums are cool ass cars. The only problem with the Magnum is that not enough people bought them. As neat of a car as they were, unfortunately, they just did not get the love that they deserved. And that's why they quit making them. And I know that from talking to one of the Mecum guys in 2016, or I'm sorry, one of the Mopar guys at Mecum in 2016. Skids is hanging out with Sovereign. Let's see. Punchline. Got the smile going. Himmy Dad's liking the triple black 68 Charger. Yeah. Say just got an 05. Man, that thing is tired. I like the Magnums. Justin saying, hey, brother, 6'1" question. What mods do you throw at it without a stroker kit to start? Took care of those plastic valve covers, Edelbrock intake gasket servo, but wanted to hear your opinion. So the 6'1", here's my thing with the, I love the 6'1s. And the 6'1", for my money, it ranks right on top for me for several reasons. But the main reason is that the cam that's in it has got a tighter lobe separation angle. So long tube headers, because you're going to need a tune to make the long tube headers work properly. Whatever cat back you like, just help the thing breathe a little bit better on that end. Other than that, though, there's not a lot you need to worry about and not a lot you need to do with it. What I would be more concerned with is if you do end up wanting to put a cam in the car. One of the cool things about a 6'1" is that it is a traditional old school style fuel injected V8. And what I mean by that is there's nothing separating the 6'1" from like a 5.0 and a 5.0 Mustang from 1989. It's fuel injected. It's got a fixed camshaft. It's an engine. Okay. It's Dodge's version of the original LS. What I just remember that you can get away with cams, but I wouldn't go crazy with it. But you can be a little bit more aggressive. The heads don't flow quite as much, but the 6'1" heads still flow quite a bit. You just don't want to get too aggressive with the camshaft, or else it will kill bottom end torque. But something like a 232, or I'm sorry, 226, 232 cam in that car would do really well. But that's if you decide you want to go cammed, and that's kind of a big undertaking. Let's see. But hopefully that answers his question, Justin. It's one of those things where you don't really have to do a lot with them. And again, they respond just like an LS does to cams. You just have to remember that you've got really good flowing heads that are tumble port heads. So if you go too aggressive with a cam, it'll kill bottom end and make the car feel like a pig. Small cams, though, will wake them up, but I don't think it's necessary. I like the 6.1s for the old school power delivery that they give, and they're just really good. They sound good too. Punchlines is in with a 5.7 for his Magnum. Love those cars, man. And he's saying he wanted a Magnum so bad back in the day, it was broke, had to settle for a Neon. I understand that. Jeremy's saying you can Hellcat the Magnum. There are guys that have done it. Oh, Zephyr's saying he's more concerned with the 4-low use with the turbos. The 2.0 has a ton of lag in 4-low. Ugh. I was hoping for something more linear. I can see that. Punchline is asking, do you think a stage 1 cam would be a great kind of to freshen up the motor a bit? You're going to be taking this thing on a 3,000 mile interstate trip. You can. You know, a stage 1 is honestly all you really need. Unfortunately, you don't get any of the theater that comes with it, you know, the chop and all that. But man, I got to tell you, you know, stage 1 in that car is going to be more like a, when you have the heads off the car, I would get new valve seats installed. Consider that kind of part of the cover charge. Mainly because the earlier 5.7s had a nasty habit of dropping valve seats if you're leaning on them really hard. But you know, that's not a big deal. Any machine shop can manage that for you. I would say stage 1, something like a 218. 228, 220, 226-ish cam would be fine. Don't go crazy with lift. You don't have to. And that'll get you where you need to be. Just keep with Hemis. It's one of those less is more things. So I wouldn't go real aggressive with it. Just do like a +1, like a freshen. If you have the idea that you're just freshening things up and giving it like a +1 power increase, don't try to go crazy with it, and just know that, you know, if any power that you're sacrificing, you're on the big end, you're making up for down low. And you believe me when I tell you, after a while, big cams become a real headache. And I was trying to figure out how I can put a video together with that, because I wanted to talk about the LS6 that was in my Z06. And how big cams a big cam in that car basically ruined what was a really kind of a good car. I just have to get around to that at some point. Oh, Ken saying he uses the ET Street R's 305, 45, 17, but I'll be getting the Hoosier QTPs for track use, like I recommended. Yeah, I like the DBR or the QuickTime Pro are good too. They're $200 less. Thank you for saving us money. Absolutely. And that's the thing, man, that I like the Hoosiers for what you're going to be doing with the car, because they are going to be more forgiving on the launch. So yeah, I would definitely do that, but the QTPs are good. They're real good. He's talking about they're called QuickTime Pros is the tire. So yeah, you'll be in good shape. 305, 45. No prep, I would say you're going to want to be around 19-ish PSI. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's where it's going to have a good footprint. You got to remember it's a radial. So same goes for the Hoosiers. You can get away with a little bit more of an aggressive pressure with the Hoosiers. It'll be a fun day. Make sure you mark them though. Make sure you mark your tires in that respect. See how much rim you have moving inside that tire. You might find that if you try to go too low with the pressure, you get too much rim spin inside the tire. Break Stuff saying those old SHOs are always good match with my W41 Quad 4 Olds, which is a badass little engine. So if y'all don't remember, the Quad 4 Olds back in the day kind of ushered in the whole twin cam 16 valve hot rod 4-cylinder world. Okay, so get a load of this. Hot rod guys, we're talking T-bucket guys, like the Model A, Model T kind of hot rod guys, we're actually moving away from small block Chevys and we're putting quad 4s into those cars. Way, way, way lighter. And the power was really more appropriate for the type of car that they were running, but it would still scream on the big end. I know this because there were two guys that lived in the neighborhood that I grew up in that were big into hot rodding. One had a T-bucket, the other one had this sedan looking thing, and the sedan had the quad 4 in it. T-bucket had a small block Ford. Punchline saying, I got 217,000 miles on that Magnum. Everything still sounds okay. It just runs rich, chasing the problem. That's making it run that way. Sounds like an O2 issue or a vacuum leak. White knuckle. What's with Ford going the way of Bud Light? Do I think that'll hurt their sales? No, it won't hurt their sales. They didn't go. It wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. And that video that I did on that topic, by the way, is what paid for my camera. So I mean, hey, come on, Ford, keep making videos like that so I can react to them. I can keep buying fun stuff. It could have been worse. Let's just put it that way. Carson saying, recently bought a pair of Firehawk Indy 500s to replace my Warren Goodyear Eagles on my 5.7. Dropped half a second off my 0 to 60. Indy 5s are good, man. Indy 5s are really good tires. Carson's Skids saying it's just the Rangers. You know, the thing is, okay, so I will talk about that for a minute. So when I did that video, I just did a play-by-play, by the way. If you're not familiar with the video that I did, it's a play-by-play of the video of the Rainbow Ranger and the Ranger that's kind of in the closet that runs away, but he's like, well, hey, you know, anyway. What I didn't say, and I did mention, you know, my thoughts on it were I'm surprised Subaru didn't put the video together and they got beat to the punch by a pickup truck manufacturer. But what I did not go into was the truck that I thought that they should have used. And this practically writes itself. And how they didn't pick up on this, like this would have been hella funnier. And if I were tasked with having to put one of these things together, I would have to use Mavericks. Why? Because of a Top Gun reference. The freaking volleyball scene. Everybody's all greased up. Ain't nobody wearing hardly any clothes. They're playing with the balls. You know, that got the music in the back. Listen, it would have been Mavericks. It would have been all of that. And the thing is that if I were in charge, that is exactly what would have happened. Because of course it would be a Maverick, not a Ranger, but a Maverick. And just how could they not use a Maverick for that? It writes itself. My God. Anyway. White Knuckle, thank you very much. That was a good video, B. Lots of memes will come out of this, I'm sure. I bet. Yeah, it was a fun video to make. I watched the commercial. I did have to turn off comments. Nothing that any of you guys did. There were some folks that had never been on the channel before that had Sovereign's got the volleyball scene. Yes. Could you imagine it? I mean, shit, like I say, it writes itself, man. How do you not come to the party with that? Anyway, David's saying I put the high tack on my beads. Trick seems to work. 305 45 17. Never moved on my truck. I'm slow, 165, 60 foot, mid 12s are on 20 PSI. Hoosiers are on the back. No problems with MT yet, but the whole extra dollars does suck. Listen, man, I got to say something, and I'm not saying this for effect. The issue that a lot of us have had, it's not just me. And y'all know how much I love me some Hoosiers, but I started off life loving Mickey Thompsons. And the problem, okay, look, the problem that I had with the Mickey Thompsons lately has just been their quality, the quality control has been on suck lately. So I don't know. That was the tough part for me. It was just watching Mickey Thompson and their quality control just tank so hard. But a matter of fact, I don't have another one here to show, but if you can imagine a tire being made and they're coming together in like two different halves, we had a run of the Mickey Thompsons where the halves were off, and so it would get this weird warble. It was just bad. Like it would be so bad that the tires would, anything above 90 miles an hour, and they're driving a car like this. It was bad, man. I had to return them. It sucked. Never had a problem with the Hoosiers. Just saying, love the answer, man. Just got the Corsa intake exhaust as car does feel lighter. She's sitting because needs the tune with the 180 thermo. Yes, it does. So yeah, he's got a lot of work that he's going to be putting into it. But yeah. Oh, it just takes a little time to get him sorted out. And yeah, Sovereign, yeah, deformed. And it was weird. I don't have, hang on. The best way I can explain it is with these coffee things. So whenever they bring the tires together, they come together like that, right? And then I guess they're vulcanized and something works in there. These were off like that. I'm not kidding. Like, and it was like blah, 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 like this. And so it was, and you're not going to make that go away. Like I can't do enough burnouts to burn that off of there. Anyway, what really sucked is that I was getting ready for spring nationals. And I was like, I've got to get myself a set of tires. And at the time, could not get my hands on the Hoosiers fast enough. Hoosier ended up, I don't know, pulling some strings and got me a set of tires way fast. So, I mean, ever since then, I've been nothing but the Hoosiers. David saying, and the Mickeys weigh more. Yeah, they do. I didn't gain any with the radial over the slicks. I think because of the weight. I'll put it to you like this. They're significantly lighter. One of the things I like about the Mickey Thompson, or I liked ED, two things. One is the compound. When Mickey Thompson, when that compound is right, it's really good on the street or at the drag strip. Not quite as forgiving as a DBR, but the compound was always a little bit better. But the stability is really what sold me on the Mickey Thompson ET Street R. Well, the DBR is all but as stable at speed. And when I say speed, I'm not talking about like 90 or 100. I'll buzz them up to 150 to check for stability. And Mickey Thompsons were always really good. The DBRs were always really good too. So, so we're saying, who's your daddy? Yep. Oh, no, Av is saying, I love my Mickeys, has no problems, but I have buddies that have had problems with them. Yeah. And that's what sucks is when you've got consistent quality control issues, that can be a problem. And yeah, I think Ken was saying something about the, I think Goodyear bought Mickey. Whoever bought him, there's been issues with them since then. And Car said, yeah, the tires are crucial mod for these cars. Very much so. Agree with that 100%. Anything less than a 275 on these 5.7 or 6.4 cars is kind of a waste, really. It'll just fry 245s. It doesn't matter if it's a 5.7, 6.4, 6.1, any of them. It will absolutely torch them. But yeah, and the tire thing, like I say, I've always had really good luck with Hoosiers. I would have loved for them to come out with something that was dot legal. I know that there was some talk and there was a lot of work in the works, but it never did happen. Still having issues with that right now. But maybe in a couple of years they'll revisit that. But well, guys, with that, listen, we're coming up on an hour and a half. I got to get up crazy early, so I got to wrap it up. But again, just to fantail this, Destroyer 1320, mention Mason for your discount code to get 15% off of your neutral switch cover anti-theft piss off a thief device. And then with Peitz Performance, is Peitz, look them up. Some of the best tuner, the best tuner you can find, and some of the best mechanics you'll find too. These guys, the only people I trust with my car, mention code BMason for $50 off of any of your tuning needs. But I want to make sure that I'm helping to support. These guys aren't paying me to do this, by the way, but I want to make sure that I'm supporting the folks that are helping the community and that have been helping the community for a long time. So just know, again, this isn't a paid promotion or sponsorship. It's not a spot. I'm just trying to look out for guys that have helped look out for me and look out for you guys as well. So I'll take a couple more questions and then I am going to have to get on out of here. David saying Phoenix tires are terrible. Never heard of them. I would stay away from them. If you don't like them, I don't like them either, buddy. Skids is out. Jeremy's saying just put Mickey's on my Camaro 275 6015 mounted on Pro Forge 63 race stars. Hard to balance, which is another complaint. Good point that a lot of folks have had. Thought the rims were bent. So that's what we thought. We thought we had a bent rim, and when you saw the undulations in that tire. So, yeah, somebody else having the same issues we are, man. It sucks. But with that, guys, hey, listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. Guys, I love each and every one of y'all. Would not do this without you, and we will catch you on the next one. That's a wrap, guys. Adios.